You've probably heard about the 2008 housing crisis that devastated the economy and led to foreclosures across the country. Typically, this brings to mind single-family homes whose owners couldn't pay the mortgage, and the people who lived there lost their homes to foreclosure. While this happened in Chicago, a more common yet less publicized consequence was the impact on thousands of small and medium-sized rental properties who also faced foreclosure. Unlike single-family homes, renters in small apartment buildings were almost always unaware that the properties they lived in and called home were in foreclosure. In many instances, tenants didn't learn of the foreclosure until they got a knock at the door or a notice in the mail notifying them that they were being evicted, even if the rent had been paid. That's when the Lawyers Committee for Better Housing and a coalition of community organizations banded together with the City of Chicago to enact the Protecting Tenants in Foreclosure Rental Property Ordinance, commonly known as the Keep Chicago Renting Ordinance, or KCRO. Thanks to LCBH and partners like Communities United, new owners of a foreclosed rental property must 1. Offer the qualified tenant a renewal or extension of their rental agreement, or 2. Pay the tenants a relocation fee of $10,600 within 7 days of the qualified tenant vacating the unit. If the new owner offers a lease, they must continue to offer renewals or extensions until the owner sells the property to a bona fide third-party purchaser.
We started seeing that a lot of people in our building, it was a large building, about 17 units, people were all moving out. My particular condo owner lived in Arizona. She said, here's the deal, I've now gone bankrupt. I don't know if you even want to continue paying me until you find out what's the status going to be. I was very panicked. At some point, all these notices had been popping up on the front door, and then it escalated where they were on my apartment door, which means somehow they were getting in. I didn't know if they were, and they all had different names on them. And I'm like, is this somebody trying to sell the unit? Because sometimes it said, call our real estate office immediately. I'm like, God. And the stress levels started going up. And then I ended up finding Lawyers Committee for Better Housing. It was this kind of feeling like, oh my gosh, somebody who knows exactly what's going on, exactly what my rights are going to be, and is offering, talking to me like an intelligent human being, not trying to scare me, but not sugarcoating the situation either.
This is serious business, and for good things to happen, we must show up.
I'm Frank Avellone, and I'm a staff attorney here at Lawyers Committee for Better Housing. Mar's situation was, in many respects, kind of typical. She had been living for a number of years in a rental unit, paying her rent, doing everything that she's supposed to do. Out of nowhere, she gets this 90-day notice.
My name is Diane Limas. I'm a volunteer with Communities United. We're a grassroots community organization located in several areas of the city. I got involved with the Keep Chicago Renting Ordinance when a community leader came into the office holding a notice in his hand. The notice was an eviction notice, and he said, "This is a joke, correct? I've been living in my apartment for over 20 years. I have paid my rent on time, all the time. In fact, I'm the person that collects the rents from the other tenants and deposits it into the bank for the owner." Once we got the information from Lawyers Committee for Better Housing that this wasn't only an Albany Park issue, this was a city-wide issue, and renters were being abused by the banks all over the city, we put together the Keep Chicago Renting Ordinance Coalition. We had unions, we had policy people, so we were a very strong coalition. And what we did is we started, making sure that this would stay in the news. We wanted to keep this in the news, what renters were going through.
The Keep Chicago Renting Ordinance is a Chicago ordinance passed to protect renters who are living in properties that went into foreclosure after they've been taken over by the bank or someone else who purchases it, the foreclosure or sale. I actually started at LCBH back in 2008, during the last housing crisis was known as the foreclosure crisis. And we thought we'd be coming in and handling, cases in court, and instead we were handling cases on the street because renters were being forced out of their homes with sometimes as little as a day's notice.
My name is Chris Tompkins. I'm an attorney with Jenner & Block here in Chicago. I have been a volunteer with LCBH for about 10 years or so. Soon after the ordinance was passed, some of the staff attorneys at LCBH began bringing cases for clients under the ordinance and started to run into a number of arguments about both the validity of the ordinance as well as some interesting issues about how it applied. Mars's case was, I think, one of the first cases that we got involved in, and ultimately we settled that case actually without even reaching a decision. The defendant, after they saw some of our briefs, decided they want to settle. Housing is a very important issue. Ensuring people have a safe, clean, and most importantly, affordable place to live. And I think that's crucial in having a stable society. So for me, it's a very important cause to pursue and very worthwhile.
Housing as a human right, not only as a moral statement, but something that is embodied in the laws that govern our city. We were losing significant swaths of our rental stock, and we would have banks that, rather than even accept rent checks from the tenants who were in place, would just evict them from these apartments.
We've seen this before and what can happen, and certainly with the pandemic, we have not seen a wave of foreclosures and evictions yet due to the moratoriums. It's going to be interesting to see, now that those moratoriums are going away, what happens. I mean, there certainly are expectations that there is going to be a surge in evictions and perhaps a surge in foreclosures as well. We'll have to see what happens. But if that happens, you could very well see a repeat of what happened in 2008, and this time around the KCRO is in place.
I think it's now time for us to look back and see what we did and honor the people that put this coalition together, and also make the connection to some of the other work that we're doing, that the KCRO was just the start of.
They were very, very clear, especially as soon as I started talking with Frank Avellone. He was very, very clear, like, okay, we're going to walk through all of this stuff together, and I'm going to tell you exactly what your options are, but then the options are up to you to choose from. This situation that you're in is exactly what this ordinance is for. Treating me with respect and talking to me like an intelligent person who's just in a really bad spot, that really made a big difference in our life.
Rise in the morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds perched by my doorstep, singing sweet songs, melodies pure and true, singing, this is my message to